All right, moving on. We are going to be working on stopping distance. Now, something I didn't mention in previous videos, but I will have mentioned probably to you guys in class or whatever. A lot of these things are not on the formula sheet. In your workbooks on the front, it's got a page where you can it's got a column for formula sheet or data sheet or reference sheet or whatever you call it. A lot of these things are not on there. On that, on your front of your workbook, I want you to mark down. If it is on your formula sheet, I want you to mark it down. If it's not, then obviously don't, but it means that it's going to be a formula that either you need to memorize or they will supply you. Looking at the 2024 HSC, things like blood alcohol content and stuff like that, the formulas for those, they do supply them to you. This one, stopping distance, if you have a look at it, I mean, we as teachers and staff and people like that can be nasty, but we're not going to be so nasty as to expect you to memorize this one. Okay. This is more a case of being able to get given a formula that finds out a certain thing and you being able to use it. It is not about you memorizing this particular formula. So don't stress and look at it and go, oh my God, how am I going to remember all these? You don't have to. A lot of time you'll be given them. This is why I concentrate on our 4 steps that we keep talking about, or 5 if we're doing trig or something like that. You want to be able to write down the formula. You want to be able to write down what you know. You want to be able to substitute in, and you want to be able to solve. Okay, this is the process that will work with any formula or any expression like this. Okay, so if you have a look at that, this one has a few variables in it. Let's just change color so you can actually see them. It's got the little d, there it is, stopping distance in meters. It's got the large V, the uppercase V, which is your velocity or your speed in kilometers per hour. And then it's got the T, okay, which is time. That's your reaction time. Now, if you look at this formula can look a bit daunting because it looks very complicated. It's got fractions in it. It's got squareds in it. It's got a capital letter. It's got a lowercase letter. What I want you to focus on is the fact that there is 3 variables. That's it. There is 3 variables, which means in any given question, to be able to solve this question of these 3, you need to be given 2 of them. Doesn't matter which 2, as long as you're given 2 of them, you can find the third. Okay, so you have to be given 2. If they don't give you 2, then you can't really solve it. Okay, you can only make it another expression. Okay, but they're not going to do that to you. So whenever you're looking at these, if you have a look and go, right, here's my formula, I write down what I know. When you write down what you know, even with ones that you don't know the thing, like in the question I'll show you when we're doing this next one, we're given the speed, we're given the time, so it's the distance we're going to be trying to find. So when we do that, I could even put a question mark there just so I can say this is the one that I'm going to have to find. This is the one that I need to solve for. It is the subject of the equation. Okay, so let's have a go at it now. So example 5 is calculating the stopping distance. So they've given you the formula in the question. That's very nice. So that means we don't have to do step 1 because they've already written down the formula. The next thing we need to do is we need to write down what we know. So distance is what we're trying to find because it says calculate stopping distance. So I'm going to just put a question mark there. So our velocity, they've given us our velocity. It is 45 kilometers per hour. And they've also given us the stopping time or the reaction time. I'll just change my T. I know that sounds weird, but if I do it like that, it doesn't look like a plus. Same as you'll find I'll do my X's like that so they don't look like multiplication. And there's a couple of others like Z. I will do that so it doesn't look like a 2. And there's going to be some that you're going to look at and say, I've got no idea what you just wrote. And if that's the case, just let me know. So we're going to use T, and our T is 0.75 seconds. So make sure that you've got the units correct in this. Our time is in seconds. Our speed is in kilometers per hour. Okay, that's given in the formula. It's important that you have them in those correct units. Otherwise, things can go a bit pear-shaped. All right, so let's have a butcher's. We're going to then go, okay, let's substitute in. D equals 5, and see, my 5s are terrible. 5 times V, which is 45, times T, which is 0.75. You'll notice I just keep putting them in brackets, and that separates them out so I can see that's my V and that's my T. And that's all over 18, and we're going to go plus 45, once again in brackets, squared, because it's v squared, over 170. So now we're going to calculate this. So I'm going to bring up my calculator emulator so that we can actually do it. So basically what we've got on the screen is what we're going to put into the calculator. All right, so I'll use the mouse. So it takes me a bit longer if I'm using the mouse, but that way you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to do a fraction. I'm going to do 5 bracket 4 5 close bracket open bracket 0.75 close bracket. You'll notice that's exactly what I've got written down. Then I'm going to do the down arrow so that I can go down to the denominator, put in the 18, use the right arrow to go across to the right-hand side of the fraction, press plus, start a new fraction, so it looks exactly like what we've got, bracket 4 5 close bracket, and I'm going to hit the squared button up here because I'm squaring that 45. Once again, down button to go down to the denominator, 170, and I'll hit the right button just so I'm over at the edge of the fraction. Got everything I need. I'm going to hit equals, bang, 21.2867647. Now, this is a calculator, so it is showing an approximation, but we're going to use that one, 21.28676. So 21.28676, and I'm just going to put dots after it to indicate that it keeps on going. Now, we actually don't want that because the question did ask us to do it to the nearest whole meter, which I've underlined on there. And so we're going to round that to the nearest whole meter, which will be 21 because the 0.2 will round down. But because it is a worded question, it is best if we give it a worded answer. So we're just going to finish off by going stopping distance is 21 meters. And we're done.